And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another recap review of the hit and now canceled HBO
I
Max
was about to
show.
say, because what? You
It's still a
know,
hit.
uh,
It, Shigai Lucas here
listen,
with my partner, the wonderfully talented Amaya. How you doing this evening?
y'all know what I said at the beginning of the series. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna make it another season, y'all. So as much as I love Lucas and doing these podcasts, I'm trying to tell you that, and just like that, we only got one more that one
One
more.
more. One more episode. And I'm gonna quickly read what the creator of the show said because that's highly important. And this is how his statement goes. And just like that, the ongoing storytelling of Sex and the City universe is coming to an end. While I was writing the last episode of And Just Like That season 3, it became clear to me that this might be a wonderful place to stop. So that is from Michael Patrick King, who is the creator of Sex and the City and this, and a show on Netflix. I think it's Emily in Paris, which look, I would have covered Emily in Paris too because I actually love that show too. So that was his statement, and now we are here with the final two episodes of this two-part series finale. And let's just jump right into it as we open up the episode with Carrie being Carrie, very expensive Carrie, as she's just at a baker's parlor ordering pies for Thanksgiving, and we just how mad everyone is around her because this woman is taking pie orders from Carrie, and she's only taking pie orders from Carrie because, as she put it, this woman has been buying at minimum 4 pies from me. Even during COVID, she bought them and never even picked them up. So instead of talking about that portion of it, I'm going to ask you this question. Have you just ever gone out your way to show kindness to a business that even in the dark times of the COVID pandemic, where we understood like you're not really getting any business, but I'm gonna go ahead and just throw you a couple dollars here and there just because I understand you're struggling like everybody else.
I don't think so, honestly, just because I don't think there were a lot of places that were open. I had to divorce Amazon because they did not need any money. At that point, they
Exactly.
won the divorce. They were getting all of the alimony.
Yes.
And but nah, like I think really I'm trying to think, but maybe a few small black owned businesses
Yeah.
here in Baltimore because as much as you were in the house, you didn't want to cook. So, I was just
Hmm.
like, okay, I can do this.
There you go. See, me, it was this store, this adult store
Nah, we're
in my
not doing
neighborhood
this.
in
It's
College Park
we
that
not doing I
is
know
black owned.
exactly
Hold up,
what you're
because
talking
it's black owned. It is black owned, and I
about.
supported them through the pandemic because you still need things.
Hey y'all, Lulu kept the sex store open through COVID,
Look,
y'all.
look,
This is
look, look, look. I will not abandon you in your time of need, like y'all didn't abandon me in my time of need.
doing this with you. I'm not doing this with you. I'm back. I'm not doing this with you. That is crazy.
Oh, that is hilarious. It's hilarious. But next up, following after Carrie leaves the pie shop, we see her run into her former friend Lisette, who we have not seen for majority of this season, as Carrie's walking down her old street and just reminiscing about everything. I think this is the kind of the setup to where we're
Hmm.
going to get to with the finale, the point now that she's walking down the street, running into Lisette and just having a quick conversation. And Lisette bringing up, like, I haven't heard from you in a couple of months. I'm throwing this party at my place. I want you to come by. And we see just how apprehensive Carrie is just about visiting her past. Just what do you think about the moment she ran into Lisette? And then we can physically see the feelings that she has going on at that time.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. The set is one of those characters where I'm just like, why are they here? You know what I mean? Like, and I get
Oh,
it. They're keeping the connection of Carrie to the apartment, but
yeah.
I just don't feel like there was enough. building for me to have for that relationship to kind of be in this space. Um, but I'm also trying to figure out like why Carrie feels I don't know. I get it, I get it. Like, this was the
Hmm.
apartment where so much went down, but I feel like when you're growing and you're shifting and you're changing, sometimes that means growing and shifting out of a place. It's okay to miss it, but, like, how much should you miss it, I guess is my thing.
Do you think that she was equating the old apartment to like an old relationship? In the midst of her mourning everything that happens with Aiden, now she's in this new place, which she's already said doesn't always feel like home, is extremely big. It can make you feel lonely. And now she's just reminiscing about, you know what, everything was better when I was in my apartment.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is. I think because so much has happened, and the reason why she
Mhm.
gave up the apartment was definitely in the hopes that her and Aiden wouldn't be together. Him would be there with the kids, and that hasn't happened. So for me,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, like I get it. I get it. But again, leaving the past, growing sometimes
Yeah.
means growing out of a space. But I will say that um we always have to be mindful. This is something that my mom like taught me, right? Don't do anything with anybody else in mind. In the terms of
Mm,
getting a new space because, right? Because you have to be prepared for what might happen. That could
yes.
be the complete opposite of what you didn't want to happen. And so for me, I think that I think that that's the part where I'm just like, you did that in particular with this in mind, and you didn't consider what would happen if it didn't work out the way
Mm,
you wanted it to. So that's what I mean by that part.
yeah. Not only that, it's kind of a full circle moment here for Carrie. It, if we go back to the beginning of this, she literally sold the house her and Big lived in after he passed away, and she moved back into this apartment.
Back into the
So it
apartment, yeah.
almost feels like, as much as the apartment may represent itself as a form of relationship that you look for that security blanket, it also refers to like emotionally stunting her. If you're every
Mm,
time your life goes bad, if you're going to go back to this one place, then
yeah,
maybe it's something you need to work on. And I think that's why I loved in this episode what happens later on when she goes there and it's not the same anymore. And things have changed. And it's a way of moving on
drastically.
when you realize, as people say, when you want that old thing back, but then that old thing is full of mud. And you're like, oh yeah, no, I don't want this. Like this is completely different than
Full
what
of
I
mud
remember.
is crazy.
But next up, Harry and Charlotte. And here we're just going to focus on their whole storyline this episode because it's really centered around Harry still having issues performing after his surgery. He said he's not been able to get an erection since the surgery. But we
Hmm.
always see, as you point out, Charlotte being the most supportive wife humanly possible to
Humanly
Harry in
possible, because
every moment.
seriously.
Yes, in every moment, she's always there for Harry. As we also see a storyline play out with them about Thanksgiving at Miranda's and Harry not wanting to go, Charlotte wanting to go because she wants to support her friend. And then we get the touching conversation of why Harry doesn't want to go to Thanksgiving because of what he thought because of his diagnosis. This, what do you think about just the storyline of their relationship and that moment that they shared about not going to the Thanksgiving dinner at Miranda's?
Well, I love the transparency as always with Harry and Charlotte, the vulnerability
Mhm.
and saying like, "Hey, I want this to just be me and you. I want this,
Mhm.
to be just a family. I want us to have these memories that Charlotte was in the beginning like trying to
Yeah.
create at camp, right? Where she's like, "No,
Yeah.
you never know. We're going to this thing and your dad,
Mhm.
so Harry is in that space now because, hey, I've made it. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what to think of it. I had no idea. I held it together because remember, like I said, he was keeping it strong, keeping it solid, was really making sure that he didn't add anything additional in terms of the feelings and
Yeah.
emotions to Charlotte. And I just love that she's so willing
Yeah.
willing. And then you know what's crazy is that Charlotte does it in a way that she doesn't compromise herself. It's like
Mhm.
really interesting to watch because I'm like, damn, okay, like y'all are having this moment. She's expressing why she wants to go. He expresses why he wants to go. And she realizes, you know what, in this moment, my husband, what he wants matters. And
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna go with. And I love that respect that they have for one another, even in all the discussions they've had throughout the season. It's them together on that path forward.
Yes, because this is what a healthy marriage and relationship looks like,
That
of
part.
understanding that it's not always about you. You have to take into account of your partner in this life thing and what
Yeah.
they want and what makes them feel comfortable. Because it is touching for Harry to say, like, I thought I wouldn't make it here. And
Hmm.
in my head, if I made it, this was the picture I had. And for her to really understand, like, oh, then no, we're not going. Like, that's too important to you. And I
Yeah.
understand that's important to you. And if that means disappointing my friend, that's fine. It doesn't matter as long as we're good and we're happy. But speaking of them being good and happy, we also have a second storyline with Charlotte in this episode. And that is as Rock is getting prepared to go on stage to play Millie, which I don't know what play this is, but
Mm.
clearly it's a play that someone knows because a lot of these songs seem familiar to me. But we get to see Rock and we get to see them dressed up as a girl and
Hmm.
present that way on stage. And we see just how hard it hit Charlotte when the first time she sees her, down to the show when she sees her, and then we see later on in the episode when she's just staring at a picture of Rock and she's seeing them in the Millie costume, and we see Charlotte get emotional. What did you
Yeah.
just think about that? It almost feels like
She's
it's part
mourning.
of her mourning. Yeah.
She's mourning. She's mourning the idea of what could have been, of
Mm,
what she thought she would have had, and the fact that Rock has taken their own, I want to say like prerogative, but their own like they've asserted themselves to say, this is where I feel most comfortable. And so I'm
yeah.
going to be here. And so I think that that's like the biggest thing of all because you have those moments where it's like, oh, okay, damn, should I say that they look pretty? Should I say that they look beautiful?
Yeah.
Is that
Hmm.
offensive? Like, how do I make that work? And I love that. I love that because it's real. I'm pretty sure it's real for so many parents who have experienced
Hmm.
that before. And I love that they made that valid because I'm sure for those who are watching who have experienced it in that moment, they felt seen that, hey, this is something that we might go through and we're here, but we also respect what choice our child has made. And so I
Hmm.
thought that was really dope. Like, did you see that part coming? Like at the end when
I
Charlotte decided to
I did not see that coming. Like
mm,
this was I can't remember, and audience correct us here if I'm wrong at all here. I don't ever remember Charlotte mourning when Rock made their decision
I
of
don't think so.
this is who I am. And she's just always been super positive about everything. But if you ever talk to people who in the community or who have transitioned, one of the first things they say is, I accepted me, but I also had to leave space for my parents to mourn what they thought I was going to be. And I
Hmm.
think that's highly important because those feelings don't go away. No matter how supportive you want to be of your child, and you like, I'm going to be here. It doesn't matter. I love you no matter what. It's still a mourning period that has to happen because there's certain things that you thought this child would
Right.
do and ways you thought you would see them that you're never going to see them. And I think
Yeah.
that's what hit Charlotte the hardest because at this point now you look. She's probably thinking you look like a little me,
Mm.
and I
Yeah.
know this is just a costume for you though. This is
Yeah.
not you. And it
Yeah.
just it has to hurt in a certain way. And it's not hurting in the sense where I wish you were different. It's just hurting in a sense like I'm never going to see you this way. No matter how much I
Hmm.
love you, I can still just mourn that a little bit and it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
that
agree.
that just hits you that way.
Yeah. And before we move on from Charlotte and Harry, I do want to shout out the laptop that Charlotte mentioned that she was super excited about and then realized it was not the
Hey,
penis she thought it was.
hey, but she was still supportive in that moment. Like
She was.
even in that moment, she was supportive. As Harry said, "Look, I
Oh,
was watching it to try to remind it, like, look, this is what excites us. Like, get the moving
yes.
down there." But hey,
Yeah.
that again, that it's the realness of their relationship and of these moments that really make their storyline good. No matter how you feel about the show overall, when you get to
Yeah.
Charlotte and Harry, you get honest, truthful conversations with their kids this entire series and with
Hmm.
their relationship this entire series. And this is one of them where he could just say, like, you know, I'm disappointed that I'm not able to do this for you. And
Right.
her say, that don't matter. Like, I know what you're going. We'll get through this too. Like that's still an amazing thing to see. Next up, speaking of relationships, Anthony and Giuseppe. And
Oh,
the mess just continues because that's what this is at this point here. As it starts off with them going clothes shopping, and in the midst of clothes shopping, Giuseppe proposes to Anthony, and Anthony says yes, and then immediately regrets his decision of saying yes as he tells I think it was Carrie that he told.
Carrie.
Yes. It
Carrie.
was Carrie that he said, I'm wondering, like, how's this going to work? I'm feeling like his mother. I'm buying
Hmm.
him clothes, I'm feeding him, I'm taking I don't know if he wants a husband or a caregiver.
Hmm.
This what do you think as we talking about the communication between Charlotte and Harry, and we get a foot reverse of full non-communication between Giuseppe and Anthony.
I I think it's not weird, but I just think that, and I said this, right? Like, I'm just not a fan of Anthony and Giuseppe's storyline. It didn't
No.
feel like it
Mm-mm.
had any solid, like, where did it come from?
Foundation.
How has
Yeah.
it established? What are we really here for? Why are we really here? And it just seems so superficial. And I thought that it was interesting, though. If you pay attention, it's interesting that Anthony is the one doing the caregiving versus Giuseppe doing it. And that's what the mom was worried about, was Giuseppe becoming the caregiver. And
Yep.
so I think that as we watch this particular scene where, and I knew immediately that he
Yeah.
was not feeling it, right? It was almost instant. And he's talking to Carrie, and he says, like, I almost regret it. Like, what is my role here? I think that Anthony, he's also having a moment like Carrie where
Hmm.
I don't know if he's really thinking it through as to what Giuseppe can offer him, or how he's showing up in the relationship, or how they're both showing up in a relationship, and how what are you giving? What are you taking? Is it equal? Does it amount to the relationship that
Hmm.
you want it to? Or is this comfortable and you're okay with just
Mm,
being in that space? And so, yeah, again, not a fan of this storyline. It just felt really flat to me. It's like they're pushing them along to keep Anthony in
yeah,
the in
the
the
series.
series. And I just wish they would have given him some more depth, like not
Mhm.
as superficial as it comes off to be anyway, in my opinion.
And it always makes me when I see Anthony and Giuseppe, it reminds me that Anthony's husband died.
Mm,
And now I'm starting to wonder, oh, is Giuseppe just a full rebound? Like
mm-hmm.
you're fully latching on. His husband was the successful one.
Yeah.
His husband was everything. And now all of a sudden you with this young guy who, in all honesty, he was your worker. And
Yeah.
as some as the famous Tyler Perry once said,
Oh
uh,
no.
you have to be very careful about the people you bring in your life. Some are leaves and they blow in the wind, and some are just branches. And those branches can trick you and make you
Yeah.
think they're permanent. And I think that is the issue here with Giuseppe and Anthony. It's like maybe this was just for you to have fun, to help rebound. And instead, it got serious really fast. You're older with someone younger. And one of the biggest fears when you date younger is having what's going on with Giuseppe and Anthony happen,
Yeah.
which is instead of me being your partner, your lover, your friend, I become your other parent.
Yeah, yeah, the parent. Yeah.
And you
Agreed.
never want that to happen. But then that comes with
Facts.
honest conversation. between you two, which they never have.
They never
Down
had,
to
yeah.
Giuseppe's mom, they still haven't
Yeah.
really had a solid, honest relationship about her or the puppet guy.
Yeah. No real
It's
con they've
so
had
many.
no, closure, and they like, nothing
Mhm.
came full circle for them. Everything is kinda, like, half open, like, your mom just up and left and decided to cut you out the money
Yeah.
pot, you know what I'm saying? This weird neighbor that you have, or roommate, you up and decided to move in,
Mhm.
and since you moved in now, Anthony's making sure you look good, you smell good, you eat good, like, like, where are the full circle moments to having these conversations
Yeah.
about what you want, what's unacceptable, things like that. I think, it just feels incomplete. That's actually the
Yeah.
perfect way for me to say it feels very incomplete.
Exactly. And next up, and speaking of this up and down couples thing, we get Adam and Seema. As
Mhm.
here, we just get a continuation of this relationship. It's kind of hard to really describe everything that they're said in this episode because they didn't have many scenes here, but the
They
scenes they
didn't.
had were just more impactful about the state of their relationship. So I'm just going to ask you, what again? We talked about how amazing this is for Seema and how this storyline goes. We had a very key moment between both of them. Well, first, Adam telling Seema he loves her, and for her to reply, "I love you too." Is what do you think about them in this second to last episode?
Listen, whenever you start off laughing in the shower, it's gonna be a good scene, okay? Because in real
Yes,
life, laughing in the shower with the person that you love, with the person you're in a healthy relationship with, is everything. Because literally, joy is inside the relationship.
yes,
I don't
hmm
think it's just that there, because a lot of people be like, "Oh, they look happy." They look delightful. They look
yeah,
like they're filled
hmm
with joy. You know what I mean? Like the stuff is happening around them, but there's a joy and a peace that they found within each other that makes the outside world just and so I love again, it's so funny because I'm like almost having some PTSD from old Seema because I was like, oh, he said I love you, and she gonna say it back.
yes, exactly.
And so to hear her say it back, I was like, oh, I was like, all right, girl, because he was killing me for a second. So I love that she's really allowed herself. This is what vulnerability really looks
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
because you have been hurt by people before. You've been in relationships that didn't work out. You've been in deep relationships that you thought were going to work out, that you thought they were going to take you somewhere that they didn't, and then you unexpectedly meet this person and you can't stop smiling and you can't stop feeling giddy, and the laughter and the joy just kind of like seeps in. And that's where I feel like they are in this space. It's just absolutely beautiful to see. Like you said, they didn't have much this season. I mean, this episode, but this moment was super impactful. And I think that I'm glad that it's showing what dating healthy looks like in this particular age group that I wanted to see for this particular season.
yeah. It caught me. I'm not gonna say off guard, not their relationship. It caught me off guard with the shower stuff. Look here, as someone who is not a was not at one point in time a fan of ever bathing with other people, because
Oh my God.
look here, I didn't know just how intimate of a moment that was until I did it with someone who I cared about a lot, and you realize, oh, it's not necessarily about um the sexual element of showering with one another. It's about the intimacy more than anything else of just
Mhm.
spending that time in one of your most vulnerable moments humanly possible with someone, and then being able to show the joy of it all. That's
Yeah.
what threw you off here with Adam and Seema, just because this is so unlike Seema. She's been so guarded this
Mhm.
entire series, and now she's with someone that guard is completely dropping down for, and you love it because we've seen everything she went through. We just go back to the first episode of the season when she was just annihilating men left and
Mhm.
right for
Yes.
not meeting a standard that she thought she had to have. And now you see her with Adam, and you're like, oh, she's completely different, like happy.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's an awesome conclusion that we're going to see the way their storyline plays out with them two, because this is what Seema wanted, and now that it's here, you kind of wonder what's your reaction to it. And so far, it's all been positive for her
Right.
reaction
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And now we go back down again with couples, and that is
Uh,
Lisa and Herbert. As Herbert here is
yeah.
still in mourning is a good way to put it, his
Yeah.
election loss. And in this episode, we kind of see he's shunned off everybody and he's kind of turning against his wife and being very, I'm going to say to me, disrespectful towards her when
Yeah.
she's
Absolutely.
attempting to help him here. This, what do you just think about the way this plays out down to that horrible last conversation as she was getting ready for work? She brings up, "Hey, aren't you getting ready for work?" And she offers help and he completely dismisses her like she's not even there.
I was very disappointed, right?
Hmm.
However, this is what it looks like when ego has entered the room, when ego has
Mm,
entered a relationship, when pride has entered a relationship, and you cannot see your nose, right? Like,
hmm.
and I think that a loss is huge, but again, I go back to my statement from last week, which was when his mom cut him at the knees like that, the
Yeah.
impact that that has is it lingers and it lasts and it turns into resentment. It turns into,
Hmm.
I won't say hate because it's not hate, but it's something else that I can't really think of. And disappointment, depression. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is what it looks like, and so. I hate that he's taking it out on her because this is going to be the person who stands by your side, who pulls you up from the mud. And I just wish he could have addressed that in a different way to say, maybe like just not right now, or I'm still reeling, I need a moment, or whatever the case is.
Hmm.
And I see how they exacerbated that scene, right? At Rock's performance
Show.
where everybody is coming in
Wi-
and like, we're
And their
so
son's
sorry you
performing at that show too.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, oh, you're so sorry that you lost. And don't worry about the money that we raised. And how could they even let him win with those ugly shoes? And maybe that's what it's like in the political world, so I don't know. But I will say that it just felt like it was a little overkill for me.
Hmm.
However, and still, you should not take that out on your wife. Like that's
Hmm.
you control. You have to control yourself, right? Because if the shoes were on the other foot, we would
Hmm.
be saying the same thing for Lisa, like, well, you need to control yourself because
Hmm.
it's not your husband's fault. And I just was disappointed with how this was handled, but I do think it's it is a lane to take in a
Yeah.
situation like this, right? So they're exploring that lane, and this lane, not my favorite for
Yeah.
Herbert and his behavior at all.
Yeah. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. And I'm gonna preface it very easily by saying at the beginning, this is why participation trophies shouldn't exist.
Mm,
As a man, if you grow up, play any sports, play anything humanly possible, the one lesson we're always taught is the same grace you win with is the same grace you lose with.
that's
And
very true.
here they have Herbert portraying someone who's never lost anything in life. Or if they did,
Mm,
it was never done with an importance of understanding what that loss meant. And I'm not talking about
right.
losing someone. At times,
Yeah.
it's losing a race, losing a game, losing anything in life that,
Yep.
in the grand scheme of things, is little, but to you means everything. And that's the problem with Herbert here is that he's taking this so personal that he lost his race
Yeah.
instead of those were moments to laugh and joke off the like if someone came in, "Yeah, I lost and hey, I couldn't help it. Oh, I can't believe, don't worry about all that money." Be like, "Girl, I wouldn't worry about it anyway. It's gone.
Yeah.
What we gonna do about it?" Like
Mhm.
it's elements there where you can tell he's just a sore loser. And
Yeah.
this is when I bring up participation trophies because this is one of the fears of it happening, especially with little boys. Is if little boys don't experience loss in competitions,
Mhm.
and they think that no matter what, you're a winner. And if you're told your entire life, no matter what, you're a winner, the moment you actually lose, the world stops. And
Mm,
you don't respect people who are there to support you through anything, because to you have no understanding of why this didn't work like everything else in your life has worked. And that's the portrayal here of Herbert, is someone who's possibly been coddled by his mom. And you can see by the way she talked, she said a very key thing to him when he lost the election, and that was, why would you even enter in it if it wasn't sure you would win? That is someone who's literally never done anything in life that had the possibility of it going wrong. The
right.
worst thing you can do for any boy that then becomes a man is put him in win-win situations all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Especially, and I don't want to relate it to race because it's not a black show, but he's a black
But
man.
yeah. Yeah. Still. Right.
That is the last. But then we have to understand also, we've gotten hints throughout this series that this is who Herbert was. Remember when he didn't get the cab? And while it was frustration because of the racial element, it was also anger because how
Yeah.
dare you pass me?
Yeah.
It's a certain privilege that goes along with that, because if it was anyone else, any other black man who didn't was not raised with his privilege, it'd have been like, you know what? I'm not even gonna let that ruin my day. He lets the littlest things hurt him more than anything, and that's because he was possibly raised, or not even possibly. This show really shows he was raised by a mom who everything was about winning,
Yeah.
and you could never lose. And I'm never going to set my son up to lose. This is why you can't coddle boys. You have to experience loss
Yeah.
in
I
one
agree.
way, shape, or in a competition aspect of life. You have to experience loss.
A
Herbert's
sore
never
loser of
experienced it.
any kind
Yeah,
is never good.
and now the person who's your support system, the person who's always going to be there for you, all that anger that you have, you're going to levy it against her
Yeah.
because you needed to lash out to someone. And because you've never really had to deal with it, you don't know how these emotions truly make you feel. Like, as you said, it would have been better if you say, hey, I just need a moment. Like, it's a way to communicate that I'm just not here right now. But that
Yeah.
communication doesn't happen with him. It is really visceral, his responses to her.
Yeah. Because I
And
think he
that's
said
what's
at one
hurtful.
point he said, like, just go. And, as
In
somebody
in
who's
their marriage.
listen, as somebody who's married and is working on not being Bruce Lee,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm
Yeah, exactly.
saying? Because sometimes I'm like, what? Nah, I'm
See,
joking.
and but no, in all honesty, that could have happened if Lisa
Yeah,
was a more confrontational person,
yeah,
and you just said just go. That could have went left very
yeah.
quick.
Because it
Not
was
only that,
dismissive, like you said, and
yes.
disrespectful.
Not only that, this is someone who's been struggling with her own feelings about her relationship with you, and you say
Mhm.
just go. She could take that just go as meaning, okay, well, let me go
Mhm.
hit Myron up and see what he doing.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
if you
I'm
want me to
doing.
just go, I can go and I could go far with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, and that's why you should never respond that way. Understand what your anger can do in relationships.
Take
Now,
that one,
understand
two breath.
controlling that anger is the most important
Yep.
thing. As people always say, when you're angry, you may do or say something that you cannot
That
come back
you.
from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the key too, is that a lot of people do not realize it's okay to take that 1, 2 breath. Like you can pause. You
Hmm.
don't have to respond immediately, right? There is no
Exactly.
reason to be TI. We don't need an expeditious response. Just chill for a
Hmm.
second and then say something, but you say something you can't take back, that is gonna cause problems. And I just wish that it would have been an opportunity to show a black man, a black
Hmm.
husband, a husband handling that that emotional bubble up, that flow over in a different way.
Hmm.
Because for Lisa to respond the way she did, which obviously was hurt, right? Like hurt and
Yeah.
just deciding to leave, it's unfortunate that they've overcome so much to kind of be in this space,
Hmm.
you know? So yeah, not was not a fan of how he handled that
Yeah.
at all.
Mhm. All for something so minuscule as a lost election. Guess what? Your life's
Yeah.
gonna still go on, no matter
Yeah.
what. Like, it ain't gonna
We
stop.
still
Like,
married, so
the world doesn't stop because little things hurt you. I think that's the
Yeah,
lesson. The world don't stop because little things hurt you, and you have
that's
to
true.
learn how to push on. But speaking of hurt, speaking of disrespect, next up we have Miranda, Joy, and Brady as
So,
as Miranda, as she's planning this Thanksgiving dinner and she's sitting talking to Joy, she brings up that she invited Maya, who is Brady's soon to be baby mama,
mhm.
to Thanksgiving without telling him she invited her to Thanksgiving.
This
And
was
then we get
already
the
problematic when she talked
extremely
to Charlotte and
Joy.
Carrie
Oh, yes.
about,
Yep. Hmm.
about inviting her, and they asked, "Well, are you gonna tell him?" And she says, "No, I don't think I need to because she's probably not going to come." Meddling in your adult children affairs is a no, no, no. Just
Hmm.
no, don't do it. It's not your place. It is absolutely disrespectful because
Hmm.
your adult child needs to make a decision for themselves. They need to have some sort of autonomy. You know what I mean? That conversation could have just went. I was super disappointed. I'm not I'm actually not surprised that they took it where they did, because I think it was a scene that needed
Hmm.
to be had actually.
Yeah. And I think that's the best part of this whole thing is the conversation that happens after Brady finds out. And the way he goes off. And normally I am fully against ever using certain language, but
Cussing at your
they not
parents,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not us.
They
So
definitely
we
not
tend to use that
us.
language a lot with parents. But
Mhm.
because my mama, I don't care if she could have invited anybody there. If I'd have responded that way,
Oh, I would've been first thing out the
hey,
window, okay? Like,
out
out
the
the
door.
window, like,
Shirley
whew.
Caesar would have been lined up already to sing at my service.
Yeah, that was it.
That'd have
That's
been it.
done.
But I fully understand why he's so emotional. This is something he's not figured out yet. He's been
Yeah,
very clear that she didn't want him in the child's life to
yeah,
begin with. He's like, I hooked up with her twice. No, I don't need to see her at Thanksgiving. And
yeah.
this is a control issue for Miranda. Of even her trying to guilt him into saying, well, we need to do this because this baby's going to come here. And then this is someone who doesn't even know yet if he wants to be a father,
Yeah.
if he wants anything to do with this. This is about respecting your children's boundaries and understanding their situationship, their relationship is not you.
How would you have felt if your mom did something like that?
We would have had a nice conversation of me saying, I'm not showing up.
Mm,
If
I
you want
figured
her
I
there,
actually thought,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. If you want her there, that's perfectly fine by me. I won't
right,
be
but
there.
I'm not, yeah.
I'm not
I
I'm not
actually thought that's
participating
how
in
it would
this
have
mess.
ended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's not gonna be I don't use language in general to anything of that nature, but I understood why Brady did it because he was just so hurt. This is a
yeah.
this is a hurt child
This is hurt.
responding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say it's a
Yeah.
hurt. It's not an
It's
anger.
not
It's a hurt
disrespect as
response.
much as it's hurt. And that's why
Yeah,
he looks at Joy and says, dude, can you believe this? Like he is so hurt by his mom doing this. And as a male, I fully understand that.
absolutely.
If I have not figured this out yet, what makes you think it is your place to interject yourself in this situation?
But as you did you pay attention to his face? Because you can see that he's also just finding out that she went to
To
the hair
the beauty
salon the
shop.
first time
Yes.
around, right?
Hmm.
Because he's looking like, "What?" Like, and then she proceeds to say, "I went to apologize and I invited her and I didn't think she was coming." And she told me, about not having her mom around. And I'm thinking, at this point in time, it's very, very bad because you've overstepped three times
Hmm.
already. And to me, that's and I think it's for some people, they're always like, well, parents can't disrespect their kids. Parents absolutely can't disrespect their kids. And in this moment, she's disrespecting his choice to
Yeah.
choose. He's still figuring out he wants to come to this decision on his own. He wants to
Yeah.
decide what he wants to do first before somebody else
Hmm.
decides to do it for him. Like you said, that control situation. Listen,
Yeah.
I give him to like 25. right? When we call them, when we consider them like real adults. And for us, that is being very lenient, right? But
Yes.
I say 25 because your brain still has to develop.
Yeah.
However, when you are legally an adult at 18, you get to make certain choices, and it is a
Mhm.
parent's duty to be present for if something happens that they can come to you, and it's always a safe space. At this point in time, Miranda has deemed herself an unsafe space because I cannot trust you. And
Mhm.
with that, you're burning the bridge in the relationship, which is something I believe Carrie and Charlotte had mentioned to her when
Yeah.
they sat around the table briefly. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
And this is after her saving him.
yeah,
You see why these? That's why I brought up in a prior episode that what Steve did was right, because that's the
hmm,
conversation you have between boys and their fathers.
yeah.
This is something Steve would have never done. As a man, he'd have known
Oh,
that is
yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah.
off
No,
limits.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
But Miranda here overstepping, it kind of fits her. And unfortunately, it fits a lot of parents. As you said, people say parents can never disrespect their children. Whoever says that is a monster. They are
yeah,
psychopaths.
yeah.
Parents, unfortunately, and I mean in the most loving way humanly possible, they disrespect
Facts.
their children more than anyone else in their lives normally do. And it's because they are habitual line steppers.
Yeah,
But the
facts.
weird part is, while parents are line steppers, if you ask them about the relationship with their parents, they feel the exact same way.
That
It's
part,
a
very,
cycle
very
that goes
true.
on because your first thing you're saying is, "This is my baby, and I want to protect them," and it's like, they're your baby till they're like 18. Like you
Your
can
baby, not a
forever
baby.
be someone's baby, but you
Yeah,
also got to respect that this is someone who's grown
agree.
and
What did you
he's
think
in a
about
situation
no, no,
that
go ahead.
he can't control.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's very adamant about him not having any say so over this. And now
yeah.
you've invited her around, and you don't know where they're at with everything.
There's nothing worse than a son who feels silenced by his mother.
It is um at times in my life I had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't often because unfortunately I was also a son who believed that we're going to talk about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't feel a certain way, you're going to fully know I don't feel a certain way.
Yeah,
But I also know a lot of men don't have that type of relationship or power or control of their emotions to have that conversation with their mother.
yeah. With their mom. Yeah, facts. Agreed.
Your mother, as a boy, it will always be your first love,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what.
Yeah,
And you never want to disappoint your mom. And at times, it leads you to go along with some of the most messiest things that your mom does.
yeah,
And you can you in your heart of hearts, deep down, you question their motives, but you'll never speak out on it. And
yeah,
instead, you do this thing I call is it interference? I want to say. I think I'm using that word right there, where you just kind of push everything away and you wait for other people to interject, but you'll never say
oh,
anything bad about it, or you'll act like it doesn't exist.
yeah.
And then you tell people who you with, like, I'm not even worried about. Don't pay her no attention.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll constantly let her do everything that goes on in life, but that's boys and their moms. And but when that trust is fully broken, you get a reaction like Brady has here. See, it's
Yeah,
much different for you to be disrespectful at times to me, even disrespectful to the person who I'm with, as a lot of guys will allow their mothers to be. And
yeah,
you'll try to correct it, but in all honesty, it's hard to step up to your mom. That's why normally it's on the mother to say, hey, I need to back up from this situation. Or whoever my kid is with, they're going to be with, that ain't my place to interject it into. And but that's what Miranda doesn't understand.
yeah. I agree with that. What did
Now,
you think about Joy's silence?
it was the most appropriate response she can have. She's too new to interject herself into any of that because
Yeah,
she could think Brady's 100% right. You know what she can't say that? You know who she can't say that to? Miranda,
yeah,
because she's not going to receive it well. It, and I know they're not married, but that's kind of also the role of a step parent is to understand where I just need to back off and let you all have it. And afterwards, I can talk to the child and I could talk to the mom separately. But in that heated moment, I need you two to do whatever it is you're going to do to get it off your chest.
Yeah.
As Brady is going off, he's cussing, he's everything. You could look at his face and say you could see how emotional he is about everything that she does. But then Miranda responds by saying, if you don't like it, so be it. It's happening. At that point, as Joy, you don't say anything. You let that work
Yeah.
itself out. Because at this point, between that mother and that son, these are the moments that can break that or fracture that relationship completely.
Right.
And you need to let it happen. And even if it was the reverse situation where this was something between Miranda and Joy and Brady stepped in and did something was supposed as a kid in the situation, same thing. You let that conversation happen. This is not your time to interject in that. And
That's true.
that's what I love the way Joy's response was. She was just like, let me get these dogs because we don't need to be in
The dogs
any
was
of this
mortified.
drama. Exactly. Them little
The
greyhounds was
dogs
looking like,
were
oh my God.
mortified. They had
Ralph,
never
Ralph.
experienced
That's
this. It was
Ralph,
such a
Ralph.
toxic environment for those dogs. They was ready to
Oh,
go. They was like, I don't know why we still here. We trying to leave. We are
exactly.
shaking in our little booties. We got to go. Time is now.
Exactly.
Put that
We
fork
are
down. We out of
we are
here.
suburban rich dogs. We are not with this ghetto drama. I don't know how this turned into baddies club in this apartment, but we got to go.
Hey, listen, they was not having it.
But finally, let's talk and end this with Carrie and everything that happens within this episode. First, I'm going to ask you about the book because this was the funnest part of it all. As she turns in the book to her editor, and her editor is like, "Oh man, this is amazing! I can't wait to get the final chapter." And Carrie says, "No, the final chapter is in there." And
Yeah.
in the final chapter, it is a sad, depressing ending, according to the editor, who tells Carrie, "You need to go back and write something, an epilogue, where we get a better conclusion to your story." As an author, see, I flipped that right there.
I
Check
see
out
that. I see it.
Midnight Confessions, currently available on Amazon and soon on all your DSPs because we're going to make her do an audiobook. But
I'm
what would
down.
you think if your editor came in and actually spoke these words to you? And do you think the editor was correct in knowing Carrie's mind state of why she ended the book that way?
I think that I think that it's unfortunate that you don't have creative autonomy or creative uh what's the word I'm looking for? When you own something,
Freedom?
creative rights
Yeah.
to like fully make the book you want, especially
Hmm.
because she's had so many previous books, right? And they're expecting a certain type of book from her. I think that's
Hmm.
unfortunate. And I think that it's not fair because it's not being true to the author, to the creator, to the creative. And so for me, I wasn't really happy about that because I think that just like music, you get to
Yeah.
write that song about heartbreak, but you also get to write that song about when you're in the best relationship of your life and you're glowing and you feel like everything is going right. So I think that she should be allowed to do both. And I'm not sure. Again, this goes back to me feeling like Carrie just has not been standing up in ways that I wanted her to stand up in ways. She hasn't been
Hmm.
that confident Carrie that I'm accustomed to. And this kind of like the uncertainty of all the hard work you did, and this book is so amazing, and they're not getting the ending because this woman is alone. And that also shows in terms of like the sexism of like
Hmm.
a woman needs to be happy, and her happiness means she should not be alone. She needs to be with a partner. I wasn't really a fan
Yeah.
of that. Um, it just felt, and I think she said the way that the book is staged, right? If I'm not misspeaking, that the book is written in the like early 1600s, I think, or something
Yeah.
of that nature.
Hmm.
So they're saying that it's not like realistic, I gather. I think that when you're writing, anything is realistic. Anything you want to be the
Mm.
ending, beginning, or middle is your choice. And I would love to see Carrie sit and stand that this is the book that I want to produce.
Then I have a question to ask you, because you make good points there. Do you think it's a possibility that because this has been her book editor for all of her books, and the book editor at that point, because you're constantly putting your life on page, that the editor may understand you a little more? Do you think that plays a portion in it? Because we do understand why Carrie has always said, this isn't based on it. We know it's based on her life. And we
Hmm.
know at the moment, the reason she ended the book the way she did is because that's the ending of her and Aiden's relationship in the
Yeah.
book. Do you think that plays a possibly a part in it of them like, hey, this it kind of went off rails from where you had
Hmm.
it at? Because I think even if in recording music, you can't have an album that goes from kind of happy to really, really happy to extremely sad and then end it. Because then people are gonna be
Right.
like, wait a minute, that is not the way this was supposed to go down.
Right. Yeah. I know. I think that maybe she's outgrown the editor.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're in that space for a time period, and then sometimes you have to move on. And I think that knowing where she is in terms of the loss of Big and being new into the dating world, back dating somebody old who's not really new and trying to figure that out, there'll be more understanding as to why. Maybe here's a way to just tweak your ending a little bit. Let's keep her alone, but let's just tweak her. Maybe she's happier or whatever the case is, but to like want to change my whole entire ending on a book that I wrote and I put my hard work into, like, no. So I think that it's okay for Carrie to look into, maybe this book is a great book. It's just not a great book for you.
Yeah. So then, what do you think about the epilogue that she wrote?
I was listening to it and I just feel like I don't know. For me, it just feels like a lot of compromise Carrie's done this season. There's a lot of compromising of
Mm,
herself that she's done this season, and I don't particularly like it because it's supposed to be your story. You get to tell it the way you want. I mean, I get it, trust me, but she's also cranked out like 7 bestsellers. So it's not like
bestsellers,
she
yeah. She's not a
so
no-name
like
author here.
right, yeah. Like who knows what it could open up? It could be leading to a part two. We don't know.
Mm,
But I think not doing it the way you wanna do it just for the sake
mhm,
of staying with that editor because that's who you've been with and this is what they want. Just I don't know, it doesn't feel true to self.
mm. And I amazingly got something completely different out of that.
Really?
Um, I believe Curry wasn't being honest when she turned in the book. It's
Mm.
because she's not been honest with herself this entire time in writing the book. And I
Mm.
go back to Miranda saying, this is an amazing story about you and Aiden. And Carol got offended by that. And she said, well, this character is not based off of you. And I think with the editor going back at times, I believe writers, no matter how great your work is, I think at times you always need that other voice in the room to help you understand what you may have missed. And a missed opportunity in books, in movies, in music, I think all of that can be detrimental to the project. So for her to send her back to write an epilogue, I don't necessarily think the epilogue had to be happy. It just had to give a conclusion. Because Carrie's conclusion was the person leaves and then that's it. And she's like,
Mhm.
try something else. It got to be something else that you're not touching on. And here we get a completely different epilogue, but the epilogue we get is the ending or the closure of her pining and waiting for Duncan to come back
Right. Yeah.
and wanting that feeling. And I think that possibly is the perfect ending to something instead of ending it in a situation where actually the story didn't end. And I think it goes back to Carrie not fully being honest with herself about her feelings with Duncan while she
Mm.
was writing the book. And instead of trying to focus just on her and Aiden, and it pours into your book of your relationship with Aiden. but then you're leaving out these feelings and these moments you had with Duncan at the exact same time, which even in fiction, as she's writing, you can weave that in. And I think when you're forced to do something as a writer, and talking to a few writers that I've known, this is actually a normal conversation that happens between them and an editor. If they turn in
Oh
something, the
yeah, for
editor be
sure.
like, maybe this isn't the ending that we need. Give it some more time. But here the writer didn't even say add another, the editor didn't say add another chapter. Just give us an epilogue. Because we have
Yeah.
to give a continuation of what happens with the character. Because again, the last thing you want is the move. Have you ever read a sad book that just ends horribly? And you're like, oh my God, like what,
Yeah.
this is
No,
the end?
I
Or a
get it.
movie that ends that way. Like, because I've
Yeah,
seen
I
movies that
agree
ended
with
that
you.
way. Hope
Yeah.
is always the key element of it. And the hope can be a hope in tragedy, it could be hope, but hope in general has to
Yeah.
experience. And I think that's what Carrie gets as she's writing the epilogue at the end, is understanding that what happened with her and Aiden wasn't the end of everything. And I think that's what she needed more than even the editor needed epilogue. I think she needed it because it's an
I
epilogue to her
think,
relationship.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that perhaps she, yes, I think that for both of us, right, it's
Yeah.
still the feeling that she wasn't true to herself in
Hmm.
either aspect. And
Yeah.
now that I hear that way that you say it, that actually makes sense because it felt like cliffhanger-ish. Like it just was
Yeah.
there. There was no completeness
Hmm.
to it, which goes back to like the whole full circle situation. And also possibly hoped a little bit because I believe she had the talk with Seema after she saw the editor, if I'm
Yeah.
correct.
Hmm.
So
That's the first time she
that
saw the editor.
little
Yeah.
snap that she had at Seema for saying, I don't even remember what it was that she said.
It was about buying
The
the
house.
owner of the
Yeah,
downtown apartment wanted to give Carrie the opportunity to buy it first. And Carrie automatically
right.
saying, I already have too much space. And Seema was like, no, this is for a real estate opportunity for you to own this because it has
Right.
resale value. And Carrie immediately saying, so you think it's also too big for me? And Seema's like,
Yeah.
no, that's
Just a
not at
real
all
estate
what I'm
opportunity.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that shows the insecurity of everything from Carrie.
Right, that's what I'm saying. To
Yeah.
that point is that Seema bringing that up showed or exposed really that part that Carrie was still like feeling so like I don't even know the words to describe it, but I was just like, here you go again with this bullshit. Like
Hmm.
I was so tired of it because I felt like I would have loved to have a full, and I'm hoping that maybe in the second half of the finale, we get this. I want Carrie to address this in some way, form, or fashion because it just feels so like you've been so snappy and so,
Hmm.
um, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for because I feel like my brain
You
is
know,
moving out of.
I'll help you out. I'll help you out a little bit here because it just popped into my head as we close this out. I actually believe she gets the clarity for the epilogue after her conversation with Lisette. When she goes back to that apartment
Yes.
and everything has changed. And she goes in and Lisette, like, I don't want to live alone. This is my fear. I don't want to live alone. People could do this. And how do you feel about living alone? And Carrie's like, well, I have a alarm system. But we
Yeah.
know that Lisette's not just talking about safety. It's about companionship
Complain.
and
Yeah.
about that element of being alone. And down to even Curry saying, as she's looking around the apartment, saying, I guess you can never go home again. Like it's a revelation to her that, huh, even things I didn't think would move on, moves
Right.
on.
Yeah.
And then we get her writing the epilogue as she's understanding, like, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. And then that possibly led her to writing it because at times you need those moments to remind you, especially at the end of a relationship. Like you kind of need moments to remind you, like, the world ain't over. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can remember the good parts of that relationship and take it
Yeah.
with me to the next. And I think
Facts.
that's the understanding that Curry got just walking around that apartment, and everything has now changed. So that's not home anymore. Now you are back home, and now make your adjustment.
Yeah, new start. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great way to end.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think of the second to last episode of this two-part series finale of And Just Like That. What do you think about Harry and Charlotte and where this relationship is going and how supportive she is for her husband? Also, what do you think about Charlotte and the situation with Rock and just
Mhm.
how the mourning of that image of Rock has affected Charlotte? Also, let us know what you think about Lisa and Herbert and how is this relationship possibly going to recover from his forms of blatant disrespect towards her while he's also hurt at a moment, and is he ever going to get over that hurt? And let us know what you think about Miranda and Brady and what it is like to have a parent overstep a bound, and how is that going to work with Brady and Maya moving forward? And finally, what do you think about Carrie, the book, the epilogue, the apartment, as we close out this chapter of Sex in the City? You can catch our review right after the episode drops. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you back next
Yes.
week
I've been
for
doing
the
good, y'all.
final time
Yeah, I've
of
been.
And Just Like That. Peace, people.
Bye.
I